Hello everybody, this is Mr. Bowman. Today we're going to be looking at slope-intercept form, which is another form of a line and probably the most well-known form of a line from Algebra 1. You may have actually heard of it and dealt with it before. It's sometimes just broken down as y equals mx plus b. Okay, it's known as slope-intercept form. So the reason it's called slope-intercept form is because the two things identified in it are the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so it is named after precisely what it does. Put the y in there. Okay, so we'll learn how to break this down, and this is going to be one we're going to be using extensively when we try and start graphing here in a little bit. So I just want to make sure we know how to read this, break it apart. So if I have an equation like y equals 2x minus 1, I can pull apart these pieces of information really easily. So my slope, which is usually abbreviated as m, is 2, or 2 over 1 if you want to stick with that fraction idea, which is fantastic. And then my y-intercept, you have to be careful when answering this, so read the questions carefully because there's usually two forms. Sometimes they just say what's the y-intercept and they want you to say -1, but often they want it as a point because the y-intercept is a point. So it's always 0, comma, that number. So it'd be 0, comma, -1. So just be careful and look at how they want you to answer because sometimes that does go back and forth. I would highly recommend not writing this because that is a line, so that's a no-go. If you want to write the y-intercept is -1, the y-intercept is 0, comma, -1, that's fine. Just don't just write y because y equals -1 is a line, not a point. So that is a definite no. Okay, so avoid that. So with slope-intercept form, there's a couple things you can do. So most of it comes from when we start graphing. So for right now, we're going to hold off and stick with some things we can do with this form. So there's kind of two situations you're in if you're trying to write something in slope-intercept form. Either you have a slope, I guess there's three main ones, two we're going to look at. Technically, you might have to find the slope from 2 points, but you have a lot of practice with that at this point, I'm sure. So if we have the slope of, say, 1/3, and I have the point 0, 4, that's the easy case because 0, 4 is already your y-intercept. So if I'm going to write this one, all I have to do is plug in my numbers because remember we have that 0, comma number. So I could write it like this, and that's my slope-intercept form. All right, so your other scenario is what if you have a slope and a point that's not the intercept? So what if I have a slope of -1/4 and 2, 1? Okay, that's when we jump to our point slope form. So that would be y minus y1 equals mx minus x1, and we plug in our m for m, and this is your x1 and y1. So y minus 1, -1/4, x minus 2, because they're both positive, so they just go in regularly. So when I distribute, 2 negatives make a positive, so that'll be 1/2, add 1, and I end up with plus 3/2 or 1.5, however you want to write that. But that's kind of our other scenario. This one goes straight in, this one you have a little bit of work to set it up. But either way, you can get there.